On today's show,
Jason walks with his daughters, Faith loads a bike on a bus, and a Viking troll plays with an ancient bus?
well, good morning, Jason. It is time for another transportation talk, and I don't know if you can guess from my screen, but the challenge is coming up, and today we're going to talk about one of your favorite subjects.
Yeah, as part of the challenge, right, Kathy, there's a whole lot of mobility or transportation options that we could read about. In fact, right behind your head there, you're showing 2 cyclists. And yes, never mind, 3 of them. And it looks like they are in a cycle group and, dare I say, maybe commuting. And it looks like they just might even be on e-bikes. Who knows? But yeah, we get to talk about cycling this morning.
Cycling on whatever type of cycle you'd like to cycle on. Just use
absolutely.
it. And it's a great way to get to work. What a
It is.
fantastic way to get out of your car and enjoy some of our lovely nature in our area. But I think you have some tips on how to do it best.
Yeah, and Kathy, we that do ride as commuters look at this as a viable option for us to get from home to work or from home to other activities. We do everything we can to say, you know what, we might own a vehicle, a car, but we're going to put that off to the side and we're going to choose to take our bicycle. We're going to choose to take an alternative form of transportation. Okay. And so in order to do that, I have over time have had to complete an understanding. It's not a class you take, it's experience, but we thought we're going to go over some tips here to help you safely start out commuting for the first time, or maybe just a refresher course like I need every year. I need to kind of re-go over this so I will commute to work on my bicycle safely and efficiently. And Kathy, we've talked about the ABCs quick trips checklist quite actually maybe a few months ago, but we have talked about it before. We kind of have a good understanding of what it is, but so I'm going to ask you, okay, what is A? So we're going to do the ABCs. Okay, so this is what you want to do when you first start out commuting and it's time to go. You need to do this before you go. And A stands for air.
A stands for A, like the Fonz used to say, right?
A, like the Fonzie, yeah,
No?
exactly. No, and not so much, but maybe close. And if we had the Fonz here, I'm sure he might even say, hey, A stands for check your air pressure. Right?
Yes.
So, hey, Kathy, when you put the right amount of air in your tire to get ready to go in the morning, or like I do like a post trip. I get home from my commute and I look over my bicycle. So it kind of helps me get going in the morning a little quicker. But you want to do a couple things, spin your tire, your wheels to make sure that the tires are straight. You'll notice what they got a little wobble and everything. You don't want that. So just ensure that your tire pressure
Make sure there's no nails or tacks sticking out of your tires.
That's right.
Things
Could be
like
causing
that.
a slow leak. We don't want to see that. So
put a little press
A
on
is
it.
for
Make sure that there's no, it's not too soft and squishy.
Exactly. And another important thing as we're going through the ABCs here is when you're actually going and you're actually pedaling and riding down the road, it's important to stop. So before you get going, you have to go through and make sure that whatever kind of brakes you have, you might have those old pinch style brakes that go over the rim, right, like that, or you might have the more modern style of disc brakes. But either or, you want to make sure that you check those, make sure that they're working right, make sure that your grips are feeling really positive. And what I mean by that is you don't pull them all the way in and you don't feel
But they're actually doing something. Yes.
They're doing something.
And we're on B. B is for brakes for all those people
brakes.
out there that are paying attention.
Yes. ABCs is for brakes now. Brakes. And one piece of key tip here is don't put your fingers on your disc brakes. Okay. A lot of people will say, oh yeah, I just felt my disc brake and it feels great. Well, that means you've just now put a lot of oil on your disc brake, and that will not help you stop. It in fact, some cases, it feels like you don't even have any brakes at all. So, so check your disc brakes, but check them carefully. At the very least, please just wear some gloves while you're doing it. Keeps the grease off too.
And C, Jason, what's C?
Yeah, I'm not cranky when I talk about this. I am talking about the bicycle cranks. So You know, we pedal on a bicycle, and those
what
are
makes
called your
those wheels go
cranks.
round.
Exactly. And so you want to make sure that the bolts and the screws are tied in just right, that they're tight and they're holding on. If they're loose, last thing you want is a crank to fall off, because that will be a really bad accident. So you want to make sure that it's not wiggling or
the
loose
chain,
or
make sure
rattles.
that chain is tight as it's supposed to be.
Exactly. And you know, it should really look like metal, not just a black gunk. Okay. I admit it, mine sometimes my chain gets really dirty. Well, it's because I ride in the rain and I get in mud on there, but I need to bring it home and I need to clean it that very night. So keep those nice and clean so that you're safe. And then Kathy, you know, I'll just quickly go through this. You know, quick refers to the quick releases, like on your front tire. You know, there's a quick release for your front tire. Make sure that's tied down. Last thing you want to do is try to hop over a crack in the road or something, and your tire stays on the road, but your bike comes up. And I've had that happen before. It's not fun to fall in that. And then also, please check to make sure your seats and your handlebars, all those things are properly, you know, closed and tightened down, because the last thing you need again is for your seat to disappear. And I think you had a funny story about that at some point, didn't you?
Yeah, you know, way back when I used to ride my bike all the time.
Yeah.
I didn't tighten it down just enough, and it didn't go down on me. But when I pedaled, it would go back and forth. And so at first I was like, well, this is kind of cool. And then it was not so cool, because you kind of have a look. You're not as much in control when that's happening. And so,
it never feels in control. And feeling in control is a really good way to make sure that you're safe and you're able to commute. Hey, Kathy, planning is important, isn't it? Planning is important. We talk about it all the time. We've talked about it during regular travel training, where I'm teaching somebody how to ride the bus. When you're talking to somebody about different transportation options, we never, ever not plan.
Correct.
And in some cases, practice your route. And I think it's important. Why do you think it's important as a cyclist to plan your route?
Well, planning is always important, but I think we should get to that after we watch this great little video.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Okay, we'll hit you on the other side with planning.
Make sure to come back so that you can see why we think planning is important.
Right on.
What in the world is the Bicycle ABC Quick Check? Well, let's find out in this episode of the Mobility Minute. Before every ride, perform an ABC Quick Check to ensure that your bicycle is in good working order. Let's first check for the air to ensure that the tubes are inflated with the right amount. Look for markings on the side of the tire to find your tire's proper pounds per square inch, or PSI. Make sure that the tires are in good condition and without punctures or holes. Brakes, both front and rear, should be in good condition and responsive enough to bring you to a complete stop in any road condition. The brake levers should be easy to reach, so try pushing the bike forward to see if it stops when you pull the brake levers. Cranks and chains should be clean and moving smoothly, not loose and stuck. Turning the pedals will help uncover any noises and other issues that you need to address. Lastly, check your quick releases. If your bicycle has quick release wheels or seats, the quick release should be tightened with the lever pushed in flat. Pushing a properly tightened quick release should leave an impression on your hand. So hey, take it easy and test ride your bike to ensure that it's good to go.
Be safe, be seen. That phrase could be understood as far back as when lighthouses were a regular thing. Lighthouses served to warn mariners of dangerous shallows and perilous rocky coasts by casting light out into the darkness, so the ships could be warned. Moving on land, today, when we drive in the dark or dimly lit times of the day, it is difficult to notice other people on the road even during the best conditions. Things are not always as clear during dimly lit times, and those trying to commute by foot, bike, or any other mobility device often feel unsafe when getting to where we need to go. Oncoming traffic, confusing intersections, and even glare from wetted roadways can be challenging for people driving cars, trucks, or buses. Those of us driving vehicles must be more vigilant when driving, and pedestrians need to learn how to dress to be more visible. Even someone walking during the day can be hard to see when overcast and rainy. For example, let's look at someone walking along the road without reflective clothing. Can you see someone walking on the right part of your screen? How about after this person uses reflective clothing, can you see that person now? In this scene, someone is trying to cross an intersection, and it's hard to see them again, right? We show you these examples hoping you can get a sense of why it's important to wear reflective clothing as a pedestrian, and why drivers need to be more vigilant. We live in an area that has many natural beauties. Still, on most of our country roads, it becomes even more of a challenge to see pedestrians or cyclists during dimly lit hours. As we drive our roads during our commute, we need to understand our surroundings and be aware of those around us. Those who are pedestrians need to ensure we dress to be seen and use reflective clothing. If riding a bicycle, it is essential to have lights in the rear and front of your bicycle. Wear reflective clothing and ensure that your bike is in good working order. Getting a flat tire is bad enough during the day but could be life-threatening commuting during dimly lit hours. Some tips to being safe while commuting during dimly lit times can be that walking in groups can make you more visible to other vehicles. As always, wear retroreflective clothing to ensure the reflected light goes back to the light source, such as a car. Keep a flashlight or other blinking lights in your backpack, and ensure you ride or walk in protected, well-lit areas when possible. Hey, get out there and enjoy this place we call home. Just remember, whether you commute by foot or by wheeled mobility, in daylight, or in dimly lit hours, be safe by being seen.
You can combine bicycle trips with bus trips to make it further. All SETD fixture buses have bike racks on the front, so you can take your bicycle with you. But keep in mind that these racks usually only fit 2 or 3 bicycles. Some bus stops and other transit centers in Oregon also offer secure bicycle parking to leave your bicycle safely secured at the center. Keep in mind that most buses can't take large cargo bikes, adult tricycles, tandems, or bicycles with trailers. Bus drivers often have to pull across or into bicycle lanes at bus stops. However, they should yield to the people in the bicycle lane before pulling over to stop. Remember, a cyclist can move into the traffic lane to pass a bus if the bus is stopped in the bicycle lane. But please be extremely careful when doing this and ride defensively at all the times. If there is a bus pullout, you can ride past the bus in the bicycle lane. But when the bus leaves the stop and turns on its blinkers, vehicles, including bicycles, should yield to the bus. Time to get out there and go somewhere. But remember, always wear bright clothing and keep your bike well lit.
So Kathy, we just watched this video that really helped describe some of the things that we're talking about and some of the things we're going to talk about in this segment here. But one thing we left off on, and we promised we'd talk about it when we got back, was how to plan, why planning is important, and why practicing the route that you're going to take as a commuter. Now remember, we're not going cross country. We're not taking some big adventure trip. We're just trying to get from home to work, right? So
Yes,
why do you think it's important?
Well, I mean, I think that it's important because your mode of transportation makes how you plan different. And so commuting, like you said, is different than planning a cross-country trip. So you might not think that you need to plan your route, but when you're using a bicycle instead of a car, you're going to face different obstacles and there's going to be different things that come up.
Right.
So planning looks different when you're going to be riding a bike than when you're driving a car.
Of course, you know, and yeah, we have the different things, right? We have to make sure, you know, that we know the road surface, maybe perhaps on a route a little better than somebody maybe walking, or somebody definitely on a bus. They don't have to really worry about the road surface except for maybe a curb from time to time. We have to think about all those kind of things. We have to think about if there's construction. It's a little more challenging to take a bicycle through construction than it is for somebody walking or in a car. Maybe we need to find an alternate, you know, side street to go on that. So I really advocate, Kathy, that when you get ready to start riding your bicycle back and forth, you know, to work and all that kind of stuff, that maybe you get out there and practice. Okay, get out there and practice, but do it on a weekend or on a day that you know where there's some light traffic, because planning a new route and riding your bicycle on a new route, even if you're a skilled cyclist, is usually kind of scary and can be kind of, you know,
a little
tough.
Intimidating.
Yeah, a little intimidating. Exactly. Yep. Oh, and resist riding with headphones. That's something that I need to work on. As you can tell, I have headphones in here right now, and sometimes I do wear them riding my bicycle. Bad me.
But it
I
is
mean,
important, yes, and that's important because it's important to hear the traffic noises around you.
yes,
You know, if
exactly.
people are, laying on the horn, they may
Yep.
not be just laying on the horn because they want to be annoying. They're
Oh,
trying to
exactly.
warn you that there's something coming up. So
Yep.
it's good to be able to hear those things.
So Kathy, have you now, so I'm looking now here at maybe what you would call tip three. Okay. And tip three is really important because we're going to talk about weight really quickly here. Okay. So the first thing I want to talk about is weight. How much do you think a cyclist weighs on average? And I mean, like you got your body weight plus the weight of the cycle, to maybe 300 pounds at the heaviest, right?
Something
That's
around
fairly,
there.
yeah, something around there. Fairly light compared to a logging truck, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Do you think that if you decide to take a logging truck head on with a bicycle, that you stand much of a chance? No.
Like a fly on the windshield.
Like a fly on the windshield. Yeah. So
Unfortunately.
yeah, and it's really hard sometimes for those of us, and like myself, I've gotten very confident, and sometimes I tend to forget that I'm on a bicycle. Everything goes so smoothly for me on a commute and everything, and sometimes it does take a big truck coming really close to me for me to remember or to be kind of shocked into that. So there are things that we can do though as commuters on the average to make sure that we keep ourselves safe by helping the other people behind the wheel of those bigger vehicles or even just cars for that matter. So for example, I'm going to mention being predictable. Okay. We have to ride in the same direction with traffic. Don't ride against the traffic. That's not good. Ride in a straight line. Okay, unless there's an accident or an emergency that you need to plan or you need to swerve around for. But don't go out there. You're not on a joyride. We're not going out there commuting, doing this and everything. Because then what you're doing is you're telling the other driver, oh, this person's not very good at, right. You create a dangerous scenario for you and for other traffic. So Kathy, have you ever ridden and driven your car or a bicycle or motorcycle next to another cyclist before and kind of thought, I feel a little uncomfortable passing this person?
Yeah, when they're not predictable, when they've not been going in a straight line and following traffic in the way a responsible driver on the road would, because if you're driving a car or driving a truck or driving a bicycle, you're still a road user. And
exactly,
one of the main things is that you have to follow the rules of the road, and being predictable is part of that.
Good. I am so glad that you get it, because I'm confident that others will get it too, because you have it, I have it. Last thing on this part, Kathy, is hand signals. Okay. A lot of people don't understand quite what hand signals mean in the world of cycling or motorcycle riding. Okay, that it applies to that as well too. But just traditionally, we have those hand signals. If you are turning left, in most cases, you're going to be pointing. It's always important for you to signal to other traffic, other cyclists, and especially other motorists, that you let them know, I am going in this direction. Okay, I'm going in this direction. So if I'm turning left, I'm using my left hand and pointing in that direction. Okay. If I'm turning right, there are two things that people do. You'll notice one is kind of common. We see this a lot, where somebody puts up their fist and their arm like this, and kind of that shape, that little L shape and everything. You've seen that before, right, Kathy?
I have.
Yep. And then some people, like myself included, if I'm turning to the right, and that's to go right, I'll use my hand as well and point that way too sometimes. But there's a reason
not at the same time.
Not at the same time. Yes, definitely not.
Keep one hand on those handlebars.
Keep one hand on the handlebars. Yes. So yeah, either do is to turn right, or you can point. If you're comfortable doing that. The thing is we want to keep our right hand on our right brake handle, because that is our rear brake, and you usually maintain more control if you have to emergency brake with the rear brake. So that's part of the reason why we hold up the left hand bent like this, so that people know. Sometimes I'll even do this. Hey, I'm going this way. I'm going this way. Anything I can do to make myself a little more visible, I'm doing, Kathy.
Yeah, I know we talked about this, but when I was younger, and I get confused about which arm goes up and whatever, and that's because when I was younger, we used either hand for which direction
Yep.
you were going. And in just talking about it, I think one of the reasons that that was common was that the bicycles that we were riding didn't have the free back pedaling. When
Sure.
we back pedaled, that was my rear brake. And so I didn't
Yep.
need, my hands on the handlebar
Right.
to
Yep.
be in control of the back brake. It was only the front brake was on my handlebars, and braking with the rear tire was pedaling backwards. And so things change. The important thing here that we're saying is make sure that you signal and you're being clear about what you're going to do so that you can be predictable, which keeps you safer.
Yeah. You really need to let people out there who are riding and driving in cars know that you're on the road. Okay. Your safety is your responsibility. Do not leave it up to others, please. Kathy, being bright by being seen. I mean, listen, that has been something I think from day one that you and I talked about on the show, right? We've always talked about being bright. Okay. Imagine if this was just a cycling helmet or whatever, right? Be bright. My cycling helmets have lights on them and stuff. I wear high vis. It doesn't matter what I have on underneath it. I always throw my vest on and so forth till I got more high vis stuff back there. It's just to accentuate that it's important to wear high visible clothing with reflective, not just reflective, but retro reflective. Okay. And we've talked about that before. But before we move on to the other thing, Kathy, can you describe the difference between retro reflective and just reflective?
Retro reflective is brighter.
Nope. Retroreflective is a reflective surface that a light will bounce off of from any direction.
Got it.
And always
Okay,
go
yes.
back to that person. Yep, perfect. Yep.
Got it.
So this one right here, retroreflective stuff. This is definitely retroreflective. So
I know,
really
Jason,
important.
you want to move on to the next thing, but before we move on to the next thing,
Yes.
I really want to get this out there because it's
Please
really
do.
important. We aren't just talking about you being bright and being seen. We also have some things to help you be bright
That's
and
right.
being seen.
Yep.
So if you're out there and you don't have a helmet for your riding whatever bicycle, scooter, skateboards, roller skates, whatever, if you don't have a helmet, please come see us at an outreach event. The next place that we'll be is on October 8th at the Cultural Heritage event at the Sunset Empire Recreation Center in Seaside. But you
Right.
can always drop us a message in Facebook, in YouTube. You can call us. You can
Yep.
WhatsApp us. You can text message us. Anything. If you don't have a helmet, please reach out to us and we'll help you get a helmet. We also have
Absolutely.
some other being bright to being seen reflective things that can help you with that. Vests that you can put on over your jacket, some bike lights that you can put on your bicycle. We're here to help you with that. So
Yes.
don't have that as a barrier to you keeping yourself as safe as you possibly can.
You know, hey, we're coming into that time of year, Kathy, where it's getting darker during commute hours. So please keep yourself safe. Have those lights, have those reflective gears. Give us a holler, like Kathy says, if you have any questions or you need some of those stuff. We'll either help you directly or point you in the right direction. So,
Absolutely.
Okay. So our last thing, Kathy, is probably one of the more important things, but it is kind of on the last bit here, but it doesn't mean it's any less important. When you're out there and you're commuting by bicycle, it's important. And, and it's really kind of any commuting option that you're using. But right now we're talking about bicycles. Have a backup plan. Okay. We're not loading up for a big, cross-state trip, and I don't have a big bag with a bunch of tools in it and stuff. Maybe I have some basic stuff always on me, but a lot of the times things will happen. You'll hit a real rough part of a road. You may flatten your tire. You may even bend your rim, which is fairly common for a lot of road bikes and so forth. Or in the worst case, you may crash and you might be okay, but your bike's not. And so it's always good to have a backup plan. And there are a lot of backup plans you can think of. We have the bus that's out there. That's one backup plan. We have, some ride hailing, just a taxi. Okay. You could have that as a plan. Or in my case, I do. I have several people that I know that they know that I commute, and they're always willing and able to come get me. if I need some help, so I can get my bike to the shop and get me to work. So we should always have a backup plan. But Kathy, I was kind of curious, what would be one of your favorite backup plans, maybe if something fell through for you riding to work?
Well, I think you mentioned a couple of my favorites. I mean, jumping on the bus instead of riding the bike. If
Yeah.
you're riding your bike on a bus route, that's a great one. And obviously you're not carrying around a spare bike in your backpack on your way to work, so you
That's
can't
right.
just swap that out. But those are great ways of being prepared, and having a good friend on speed dials to say, "Hey,
Hmm. Right.
something's wrong. I'm going to need a ride. I'll buy you lunch," whatever, is
Sure.
always a great way to be prepared. And having an
Absolutely.
emergency kit with you. I mean, you mentioned all the best ones. Can't
Yep.
come up with any better ones.
Well, it's just through all of experience. I mean, just last week, my wife had to come rescue me because I had a big flat tire and I didn't have enough tools or enough repair kit to be able to pump it up and get home. So
But you got a great burrito dinner out of it.
I did get a great burrito dinner out of it, and that was the positive about it. Hey, walking 4 miles after a long day of work, I thought would have been horrible, but you know what? It just wasn't. I mean, I just can't say it. I mean, it wasn't. It wasn't. I mean, I just brought the bike to
Well,
the shop and looked around.
it's
And, yeah,
it's like the emergency prep show that we did, that
right.
you prepare so that you don't panic, so that you're not scared, so that
Exactly.
you have that momentary uh-oh, what's going on, what am I going to
Hmm.
do, oh, I'm stuck, and then
Right.
you click into all of that preparedness that you've
Yep.
done, and you just go, okay, these are my options, this is what I can do, and then it's not such a big deal, and you went out to dinner with your wife.
That's
So
right. Yeah, there you go.
it's all
So,
good.
Kathy, we talked about 5 things. Each and every single one of them are incredibly important to keeping you safe and providing reliable bicycle commuting to work or to wherever you need to go. I thank you so much for joining me on the journey, because I know that you know that I ride, and I'm sure there's a little part of you, Kathy. I'm sure you're concerned for me sometimes, but I'd like to think though that you know that I am doing the things that are necessary to keep you safe and get to work on time and be in good spirits to start the day because I rode my bike, and hopefully with that knowledge, you don't worry for me so much.
I don't. I know that you have a good backup plan. So
Good.
awesome.
Thank you. Thank you so much, everybody, for listening and watching our show. Again, if there's any questions, we're always here for you. We still have that. People can still leave messages for us, right, Kathy?
Absolutely.
In the section here that they're watching. If you're watching on YouTube, don't be afraid to comment either. Please subscribe to the show. It's really important that you do that,
Yeah.
because we
Give us
want to
a
know what
thumbs
you
up
think.
and
Yeah.
follow us and
Right.
ask us any questions. And remember, if you need some devices to help you
Right.
stay safe out there while you're walking or biking, rolling in any way,
Yep.
let us know.
Kathy, have a great weekend. Everybody
You
out there,
too.
have a great weekend.
All right. See you later,
Take care,
everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.